Hello everyone! Welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to talk about a book that can completely transform your life, and that book is Cal Newport's Deep Work. Let me ask you one question. Does this ever happen to you? You sit down to work and suddenly a phone notification pops up, then a message, then a YouTube video catches your eye, and an hour later you realize the work is still exactly where you left it. If yes, then this video is made just for you. So let's begin. 15 powerful concepts with engaging stories. Concept 01. What is deep work? Deep work means the professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. This kind of work creates new value, improves your skills, and is hard to replicate. On the other hand, shallow work is tasks like checking emails, attending unnecessary meetings, replying to WhatsApp. These feel important, but they don't create anything significant. Cal Newport says the ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare, and at the same time, increasingly valuable in our economy. Story: The Potter and the Noise. In a small village called Rampur in Madhya Pradesh, there lived two potters, Ramu and Shamu. They were childhood friends, learned pottery from the same teacher, and had equal talent in their hands. Ramu was a very social person. He set up his pottery wheel right in the middle of the village marketplace. While working, he would chat with people, laugh, drink tea, and ask everyone how they were doing. His pots were decent. Not great, not bad. Shamu was different. Every morning he would wake up, go into his small room, shut the door, and begin work. No one came in, no one went out. It was just him, his wheel, and the clay. He worked on every pot as if it were his last masterpiece, paying attention to every angle, every curve, every detail. One day, a merchant came to the village. He needed special pots for the king's court, beautifully carved, strong, and elegant. He first looked at Ramu's pots. The work was decent, but it lacked something. Then he went to Shamu's room. The moment he saw Shamu's pots, his eyes lit up. He placed a large order at a great price. Ramu asked in surprise, "Friend, we learned from the same teacher. How are your pots so much better?" Shamu smiled and said, "When you work, half your mind is in conversation, half is in the tea, and a little bit is in the clay. When I work, my entire mind is only in that pot, in every line, every curve. That is the difference." Lesson: ordinary work happens in the crowd. Extraordinary work happens in concentration. Concept 2. The value of deep work. Newport says that in today's world, two kinds of people will thrive: those who can learn hard things quickly and those who can produce at an elite level. Both require deep work. People who spend their days in shallow work, emails, meetings, notifications, never reach the level where real value is created. Story: Two musicians. In Guru Hari Prasad's ashram in Jaipur, there were two students, Arjun and Vijay. Same age, same natural talent, same teacher. Arjun practiced 2 hours every day, then went out with friends, watched movies. He thought, "I practice daily, that is enough." Vijay's approach was different. He woke up at 4 a.m. every morning. He shut his room door. For 5 hours, he worked on a single rag. Every note, every nuance, every rise and fall. The outside world simply did not exist for him during those hours. 5 years later, Arjun was performing at local events in Jaipur. Vijay was receiving invitations from Delhi, Mumbai, and even international stages. Record labels were approaching him. His name was being considered for national awards. One day Arjun asked, "We learned from the same guru. Why do you have what I don't?" Vijay replied, "We learned from the same teacher, but in your 2 hours of practice, your mind was in 10 places. In my 5 hours, it was in just 1. You stayed on the surface. I went deep." Lesson: Deep work is an investment that compounds over time. Those who go deep today become superstars tomorrow. Concept 03. Attention residue. When you switch from one task to another, a part of your attention stays stuck on the previous task. Newport calls this attention residue. This means if you check WhatsApp while writing a report, even after closing WhatsApp, your mind is still thinking about that message. The result? The quality of your report suffers. Story: The Cook and His Pots. In a big Mumbai hotel, there was a cook named Mahesh. He was hardworking, but he had one habit that troubled him. He tried to do everything at once. One evening, Mahesh put the dal on the stove, started chopping vegetables, and kept checking his head chef's WhatsApp messages at the same time. He thought, "Look how efficient I am. 3 things at once." The result? The dal burned. The vegetables were left raw, and the head chef's message was only half read. It contained a VIP guest's special dietary requirement, which was completely missed. That night, there was chaos in the hotel. The manager called Mahesh in. The cook at the neighboring station, Suresh, was calm, quiet, and completely focused. He explained, "Friend, when you put dal on the stove, only dal. When you chop vegetables, only vegetables. When you read a message, only the message." "But won't that take more time?" Mahesh asked. "No," Suresh replied. "Right now your mind is split 3 ways. That is why all 3 things are going wrong. When you do one thing at a time, it will be faster and better." Mahesh kept his phone outside the kitchen from the next day. One task completed, then the next. That week, the manager himself praised his food. Lesson: a divided mind produces divided results. Every task switch is a mental tax you keep paying unknowingly. Concept 4. The 4 philosophies of deep work. Newport describes 4 different ways to practice deep work. 1. Monastic. Eliminate everything and do only deep work. 2. Bimodal. Some days fully dedicated to deep work. Rest of the days, normal work. 3. Rhythmic. A fixed time every single day for deep work. 4. Journalistic. Whenever you get a gap, dive straight into deep work. Story: 4 farmers, 4 ways. In a village in Uttar Pradesh, 4 farmer friends, Balram, Kishan, Suraj, and Mohan, all bought new land the same year. Balram decided, "Until the harvest is ready, I will not stay in the village." He built a small hut next to his field and lived there. No market, no festivals, just the field. People called him crazy, but his harvest was the most magnificent. Kishan chose a different approach. He decided 15 days a month only farming, the other 15 days home and shop. He balanced both responsibilities, and his harvest was good too. Suraj had many responsibilities. He made one simple rule. Every morning from 4 to 7 a.m., only the field. 3 hours every single day without fail. Slowly, his field turned green and lush. Mohan was also a businessman. Whenever a meeting got canceled or work finished early, he ran to his field and worked. His harvest also came through. At the end of the year, all 4 had good harvests. An elder said their methods were different, but their intention was one. When they were in the field, they were only in the field. That is deep work. Lesson: there is no single method for deep work. Whatever fits your life, that is right. What matters is that when you do it with complete focus. Concept 5. Rituals and routines. Newport says, do not depend on willpower for deep work. Instead, build a ritual, a fixed place, a fixed time, a fixed rule. Once the routine is established, your brain gets a signal. It is time for deep work now. Story: The Wise Writer. In a narrow lane of Varanasi lived a writer named Priya. For years, she had wanted to write a novel, a story that had lived in her heart for a long time. But every time she sat down to write, something would come up. A relative would visit, the phone would ring, or her mind would say, "Let me make some tea, then I will write." Months passed, years passed, the novel stayed where it was. One day, she met an elderly writer named Rameshbai, who had written 40 books. Rameshbai said, "Do one thing. Get a candle. Every morning at 6 a.m., light it. As long as the candle burns, no other work, no phone, no conversation. Only writing." "But what will a candle do?" Priya asked. "A candle does not just give light," Rameshbai said. "It gives your brain a signal that this is the time. Slowly, your brain will learn. When the candle burns, it is time to write." Priya tried this method. The first few days felt strange, but 2 weeks later, something remarkable happened. The moment she lit the candle, words started flowing into her mind, as if a switch had been turned on. 1 year later, her novel was complete. A publisher accepted it in the very first draft. Lesson: a ritual is a mental trigger. It replaces willpower. When the brain knows this signal means this work, starting becomes effortless. Concept 06: Grand Gestures. Newport describes an interesting approach. Sometimes for an important piece of work, make a grand gesture. A step so significant that it forces you to take the work seriously. A grand gesture tells your brain, this work matters. Story: Rahul's Room. In Bengaluru, Rahul Mehta was a software developer. He had an app idea in his mind that could revolutionize the healthcare sector. He had tried to work on it many times, at night, on weekends, but something always came in the way. The noise at home, the temptation of Netflix, calls from friends. One day, Rahul made a big decision. He took 10 days of leave. He booked a room at a resort in Cork, 180 kilometers from his home. It was not cheap. He spent an entire month's savings. His friends laughed. A hotel room just to build an app? Why so dramatic? Rahul replied, "Because I need to convince myself that this work is important." In that room, surrounded by dense jungle with zero distractions, Rahul did in 10 days what he could not do in 2 years. The entire app architecture was ready. Database design was done. A working prototype was built. 6 months later, his company received its first funding. In an interview later, he said, "The biggest benefit of that trip was this. When I invested that much, my mind automatically became serious." Lesson: when you invest in something, time, money, or energy, your brain treats it seriously. A grand gesture is a psychological commitment that makes you accountable to yourself. Concept 07: Embrace boredom. Newport says, if you reach for your phone every time you feel bored, you are training your brain to crave distraction. When you are on a bus, standing in a queue, and you still do not look at your phone, your brain learns to focus on its own. Boredom is training. Story: The Roots of the Banyan Tree. In a small town in Gujarat, there was a gardener named Dinesh. He had 2 small plants in his garden that he had planted on the same day. The first plant he watered a little bit every day. Every morning, every evening, he never let it feel thirsty. The second plant he watered only once a week, but on that day he watered it deeply, so much that the water reached far below the surface. 5 years later, a great storm came. The first plant was uprooted because its roots were near the surface. Water was always available at the top, so the roots never needed to go deeper. The second plant stood firm, even in the storm. Its roots had gone deep into the earth. It had to reach downward for water, and that struggle had made it strong. A student asked, "Teacher, what does this mean?" Dinesh replied, "The brain works the same way. When we satisfy it every moment, give it a phone every time it is bored, the roots of focus stay at the surface. But when we let it struggle a little, let it be bored, it goes deeper. And that depth is the power of deep work." Lesson. It is important to avoid distraction, but not boredom. Boredom is the brain's workout. Concept 8. Productive meditation. Newport shares a unique technique, productive meditation. When you are physically doing something easy, walking, showering, cooking, focus your mind on one complex problem. Let the body move, let the mind think. Story. The answer found while walking. Neha Singh was a science teacher at a government school in Delhi. She had to teach the concept of refraction of light to Class 8, a concept that went right over the students' heads every single year. She had been thinking about it for 3 days, made notes, watched videos, but nothing felt satisfying. On the third evening, she decided, enough, let me go for a walk. She went to the garden near her home, but as she stepped out, she asked herself one question. How do I explain refraction in a way that children will never forget? She gave this question to her mind and kept walking. The sound of leaves, the cool breeze. 15 minutes later, a sudden image came to her mind. A pencil dipped in a glass of water, it appears bent at the surface. The simplest, most visible example of refraction. Every home has water and a pencil. The next day in class, every child took out their water bottle, put their pen in it, and the "oh" sounds that followed are something Nehaji still remembers to this day. Lesson? When the body is relaxed and the mind is focused on one problem, the most creative ideas emerge. Concept 9. Quit social media. Newport asks a bold question. Is social media giving you the things that matter most in your life? He rejects the any benefit mindset. Just because something gives some benefit does not mean you should use it. Ask yourself, does this directly help my most important goals? Story. Ayush's 30-day experiment. In Lucknow, Ayush Sharma was a graphic designer. 26 years old, talented, but he could not understand why so little work was getting done each day. One day he tracked his digital activity for a week. The result was shocking. He was spending an average of 3 hours and 20 minutes on Instagram every single day. YouTube, Twitter, and WhatsApp scrolling on top of that. He calculated 100 hours every month, 1,200 hours every year. That is 50 full days, just scrolling. He decided on an experiment, 30 days without Instagram. The first 5 days were very hard. His hand automatically reached for the phone, but he deleted the app, temptation gone. From day 6, he started an online Figma course in that empty time. By the 3rd week, a client found him who specifically wanted to hire him for his Figma skills, a skill he had never seriously learned before. In 30 days, 1 complete course finished, 1 new freelance project started, 1 short story written and published in a local magazine, and most importantly, better sleep. On day 30, he downloaded Instagram, but did not log in. He said, "I do not feel the need anymore." Lesson. Social media is a tool. Be its master, not its slave. Concept 10. Time blocking. Newport's powerful method. Time blocking. Divide your entire day into blocks. A deep work block, a shallow work block, and a rest block. When every hour has a predetermined task, you stop reacting. You start living intentionally. Story. 2 friends, 2 days. In a Pune IT company, 2 friends worked, Vikas and Amit. Same team, same salary, same experience. Vikas arrived every morning and did one thing first, opened his inbox. Then a meeting, an urgent task, a Slack message, and by evening, he was tired and frustrated. He felt, I worked so much, but nothing important got done. Amit's approach was different. Every night before sleeping, he took 10 minutes and wrote the next day's schedule. 9 to 11, deep work, new feature. 11 to 11:30, emails and Slack. 11:30 to 12:30, team meeting. 1:30 to 3:30, deep work, bug fixing. 4 to 5:30, documentation. When someone interrupted him, Amit would say, I will check at 11. 6 months later, Vikas was still at the same level. Amit had received 2 promotions. Vikas asked,
How did you move ahead so fast? Amit showed him that piece of paper. Just this? Vikas said. Yes, Amit replied. Those who do not plan their day end up working in someone else's plan. Lesson. Those who do not plan their day end up living someone else's agenda.
Friends, that was the complete summary of deep work. 15 powerful concepts that can transform your life. Remember, the crowd stays on the surface. Successful people go into the depth. Take one small step from today. Put your phone away for just 1 hour and immerse yourself completely in your most important work. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below. What is that one work in your life in which you want to practice deep work? See you in the next video. Until then, live deeply. Namaste.